when Roddy was in my house, like the first day I broke the rib,
Yeah.
Roddy came to help me. Literally couldn't pee or nothing. So even to lay down, he would have to like get on top of the bed, 2 legs on top of me,
Yeah.
almost like sucking dick position, which
Right.
we weren't going there, but arms around my arms, sit me down, then turn me around. I can go pee, come back bed, sit me back. But every time we make a joke, I was like,
Ooh.
there was a point I was like, no more jokes.
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
saying that would make me laugh.
Yeah.
Broken ribs is a bitch.
How, you just have one, or you have a couple?
Just one,
Just
thank
one.
God.
And how long does that take to
So
recover?
this happened, let's see, on a Wednesday. I was sparring and we get wrapped in a scramble in the ground. And some of the movements, I just felt like a long pop. It was like pop, 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 pop. And in my head, I was like, that has to be soft tissue or cartilage.
Okay.
That happened in the second round. Second round is over. I get up, I move. I'm like, fuck, this doesn't hurt. This is weird. We go to the third round. All good. We went back to the ground. I did some strength to move the guy. Again, long pop, 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 pop. And I was like, fuck. Third round is over. I go to my coach and I'm like, coach, this shit pops pretty hard twice. He's like, yeah, but you seems okay. I'm like, I feel good, but oh,
Yeah, it's getting serious outside.
it's getting serious as that. And then I was like, but no pain. Then I was like, I'm gonna, get cold later on. It's gonna really hurt. Nothing happened. Thursday I trained, Friday I trained, all good. Saturday we did a sprint, all good. It was slightly sore, and I was like, oh, I'm cool. Monday, sparring day again. Warm up, all good. Get in the cage, touch gloves, we start. I got barely touch. Like, almost like my kid couldn't be getting hit with that and he would be fine. I collapsed. I was dead in the ground, just screaming, and like, couldn't move, couldn't flex, couldn't do nothing. Went to get an X-ray, get an MRI. They both came fully, you're fine. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. I called the UFC. I was like, okay, we need to figure this out. This doesn't make no sense. They probably took the photo in the wrong side. The machine side, it seems pretty old. Can you send me to a place in Newport? Let's do, because if that was negative, I would have figured it out a way to get back to keep on my same fight scale, which were this Saturday.
Right.
They sent me to a Newport place, pretty nice machine, nice and
Just
new.
a different MRI.
Just a different MRI. They did the full contrast. They say your rib is fully broken, and I was like, oh.
So they needed the cut. That's where they inject you with the dye.
No, they literally they put like a big blanket to get like a bigger contrast, and they took a photo of this part. In the first MRI, they took a photo of like my neck and my chest. And they said your lungs are fine, and I say I never told you my lungs were not good. So I'm not a doctor, but I was like, I don't know what the fuck you did. But then, like, it was like 5 days before I felt normal. Like, now I feel normal.
Yeah.
I just get clear to run. But if I laugh, it hurts.
And this was last week this happened?
Like 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago.
But I was supposed to fight this Saturday.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was a month out.
It was right on the finish line.
Oh, my gosh. But, like, you mean on the finish line in that you stopped sparring after that month out point?
No, we spar until like the week before.
Okay.
Like, I would have sparred last Friday.
Okay.
We normally spar till the very fucking Roddy. Put your thing in silence. And then we spar too far away. Of course, the last one, I'm cautious. Even if we go hard, I rather don't risk it all. But we spar like the whole time.
And your sparring partners in a situation like that, I mean, nobody's trying to hurt anybody like that, right? But do they get bummed that, I don't know how it works exactly. They cost you this fight, obviously.
This wasn't really like, this wasn't like a freak accident, because it wasn't like, I mean, we do spar, try to hurt each other.
Okay.
Like, there's times that someone goes flatline.
Oh,
like,
really?
It happens in the gym.
Dead, you mean? Flatline like that?
Yeah, KO.
Okay.
Alcohol. It's happened before. But, you know, even if I wear knee pads, I'm not going clinch, pulling the head to my knee.
Right.
I throw to the body. And the main reason I use knee pads is sometimes when I throw a body kick or a head kick, if the guy dips it, my knee won't catch him. And if my knee catch him, I have some fat knee pads. And I wear like bigger gloves. I don't use elbow pads. I don't like throwing elbows because those things move. And one clean elbow, the guy is messed up for 8 weeks.
Right.
So I never throw elbows. I never throw spinning wheel kicks. But besides that, it's 200%.
And most of your sparring partners are kind of like up and coming guys in your weight class. Do you spar with bigger guys to try and, I don't know, acclimate yourself like that, or?
We mix and match. So most guys are like right now, I have a really good prospect at my weight class. He's like 5-0. He's most likely gonna be in the UFC sometime soon. He's like the most talented guy that comes help me, but of course I have the experience and all that. Then I have some other guys that are like more like veterans, that they have a bunch of fights, they have a lot of experience, but they never make it to the big show. Last few weeks, my coach was bringing this like Russian wrestling champion, which was like, the guy was a monster, but outside the UFC. So I got experience in some of these guys, but sometimes he brings me like bigger guys, so they can actually take real punishment. And sometimes he brings like little guys with a lot of speed. And of course, when I know the guy's like 15 pounds lighter, I'm not trying to kill them, but I gotta work with a lot of speed coming myself. So we always like very strong, really fast, experienced, super young and talented. So it's just, honestly, it's a new guy every other day.
Every other day, yeah, you get a mixture. And as you get closer to the fight date, are you trying to have partners sort of mimic the style of the fighter you're about to face?
Yeah, like if I'm fighting like this guy that I was supposed to fight this weekend was a pretty decent striker, but he shoots a lot and he likes to grapple. So we bring in some heavy wrestlers, jiu-jitsu black belts that can strike a little bit, so they can give me some sort of pressure like that. But it's always a different guy. Sometimes there's guys that I have never met in my life. They came on a sport day, we shake hands and we get in a fist fight. And Parillo likes that. He's not like, okay guys, first round, get to know each other. He's like, first round, I want to see who comes out alive.
Yeah.
And I think if you want to race, NASCAR, you got to go pretty fast.
Right. You don't do some warm-up laps.
Exactly, but now I'm just in full-on recovery. Like I'm doing therapy every day, hyperbaric chambers, checking my diet, taking the inflammation away.
So what's the procedure then for, I don't know, getting a new fight on the schedule or whatever? Because I mean, this was a big one this weekend, right? Pay-per-view and all that stuff. And so how far do you think you're out from a new fight? I mean, it depends on getting a proper opponent, or
at this point it's like once my rib is healed and I start training and I go easy, see how start picking up the pace. Once I start training really hard, I give them a head up. So I'm like, hey guys, I'm ready. I want to fight this date. And they will say, okay, we have this guy available. I say, sure, let's go. So everything comes down to who wins this weekend on the guy that I was supposed to fight against the new guy, and then who else is available and who has or doesn't have a fight coming up.
Okay. Yeah, so, it's got to make sense for you, but also for the promotion.
Exactly, because I was supposed to fight May 3rd. So if that date wouldn't be changed to June 7, I would have go through that fight.
Okay.
Because I got hurt like a month after they changed my fight date.
Oh, okay.
Which that was my main concern. I was like, dude, I'm ready now. Let's keep this date. They're like, we need you in this car. It's a bigger car, blah, blah. It's like, okay, I can go against the UFC. If I say no, then it's a problem. So I was like, okay, let's change the date. Cool. By then I was like, fuck, that's another 2 months of training.
Yeah.
And 2 months of training, you can break your pinky. Anything can happen.
Sure.
And sure enough, my rib got broken.
Not to mention, I mean, you're kind of training in a way to where you peak at a certain date, right? And so if you push that out, now everything's kind of shifted.
Luckily, when they changed this date, it was far enough that I wasn't fully peak.
Okay.
I was in great shape, but I was able to like, okay, let's take a week of like, let's go lighter, and then we pick up again.
Okay.
But it have happened in the past that they have changed my date 10 days before, and I was already like,
yeah.
And after that, it's all downhill.
Right.
Doesn't matter who you are.
Right. Right. I mean,
Like-
that makes sense.
Like for you, could be the same, right? If you're about to play a big game, there's changes on dates, or it's pretty set.
Yeah. My background is volleyball, and I mean, we would have like tournaments, for example, that you're trying to peak towards, for example, in indoor volleyball, the World Championships this year is in September. So all the teams are trying to peak at that point. So there's international tournaments from now until that time that are important, and they're going to try and do their best. But the most important is that World Championships in September. So they're going to rest some guys, or kind of give them a lighter load, so to speak. So that's more of how we do it, because it's obviously not the fight game. It's like basketball or whatever, where you can play every day and still be good.
Okay. And with volleyball, like to get to like the World Cup or to the Olympics, like how is like it's like one team per USA, or like many clubs? How the whole scene works?
Okay. Well, so my background, I played indoor volleyball. I coached on the beach, and I went to the Olympics as a coach in beach volleyball. I played in the Olympics as an indoor volleyball player. Indoor, there's just one team per country. So at any given time in the USA, on the USA team, there's 20, 25 guys. But a team at a competition is just 12. So we're training, much like you have sparring partners, but then just at match time, it's just you out there. We have 25 guys that are in training every day, but come World Championships, it's 12 guys. And so the same thing with the Olympics and so forth. And then there's just one team. On the beach side, it's just pairs, right? It's just me and you, or a partnership. And every country can have a maximum of 2 pairs per gender. So we had, I coached a pair in Tokyo, the Tokyo Olympics, and then there was another pair, and then we had 2 female pairs as well. So we had 8 total athletes on the beach.
And that's for the Olympics on sand.
That's for the Olympics on sand, yeah.
And then for indoor, how's the whole thing work out in terms of like to get to Worlds?
Mm-hmm.
Like how many teams compete and how many gets to Worlds?
Well, so it's interesting because the Olympics for volleyball, it's a little bit of a joke, so to speak, that the Olympics is not the most difficult tournament that you will play, because they work hard to make sure that the entire world is represented. So, for example, you can qualify by winning the World Cup the year before the Olympics. That gets you automatic qualification. Or the other ways are you have to be the winner of your zone. So for the United States, North America, Central America, and the Caribbean all comprise the zone. So it's like Canada, U.S., Mexico, Cuba, and then a lot of the Bahamas and Puerto Rico and stuff like that. So if you win that zone, you can represent your zone. And they do that because there's the European zone, but then you have the African zone, stuff like that, where you get, the team from Africa just isn't going to be very high in the world of indoor volleyball,
right?
World ranking wise. But the Olympics is supposed to be a representative of the world in every sport as best they can. And so it's only a field of 12 teams, and you have representatives from everywhere. Whereas the World Championships, for example, this year, is 48 teams. So
that's a lot.
It's a lot. It's similarly trying to represent the world. So you have some African teams, you have, you know, whatever, some more North American and Caribbean teams and so forth. But you also have more of the world rank, like the high teams in the world ranking represented. So it's a much, much more difficult tournament.
So it's more complex.
More complex, yeah, but the strength of field is deeper than the Olympics. But what makes the Olympics difficult is that it's once every 4 years. The entire world is watching.
Right.
And so the scale of it, the scope of it, is what makes it difficult. But technically, the strength of field probably isn't the most difficult tournament you'll play.
What countries would you say dominate the Olympics in volleyball?
Well, it changes a lot. Yeah. So, you know, volleyball for women indoor in our country is a huge sport. You would think that we would have a big history in that. 2020, the Tokyo Olympics is the first time we ever won gold for the women. Okay, like Brazil's a big, you know, it's their number 2 sport in their country behind soccer, football, obviously. And so they are a stalwart on both the men's and women's side. A lot of European teams are very strong. Like if I were to list off the last gold medal winners starting in 96 was Holland for the men. 2000 was, I think we still called it Yugoslavia back then, but it's Serbia, Montenegro. 2004 was Brazil. 2008 was us. 2012 was Russia. 2020 again was Brazil. So it's interesting. And then on the beach, you wouldn't believe it, but Scandinavia right now on the men's side is dominating. Sweden, this pair of 22-year-old kids from Sweden won the gold medal in beach volleyball. And in the Tokyo Olympics before that, it was a duo from Norway.
They don't even have like a big beach. It's out there.
It's frozen up there for the most part. But yeah, they just, for whatever reason, I mean, that is.
So they probably have like indoor sand places.
Most of Europe is that way. You know, beach volleyball used to be almost entirely the United States and Brazil. Those were kind of the only countries that were playing it, and certainly they were the dominant forces. But now, just like every sport, probably it's spread out through the world a lot more. And yeah, right now, Scandinavia, Sweden, and Norway are the top, and there's a lot of people that think nobody else is close.
I mean, that's crazy to think like cold places like that. They have like the best teams now. In indoor and beach volleyball, there's a lot of difference in terms of how they train for the field.
Oh yeah. So indoor volleyball is 6 people on a court, and you know you're on a, I don't know that it's wood necessarily, but it's a hard floor. Whereas in beach volleyball, you're in the sand, and it's just 2 of you out there. The court is technically a little bit smaller, but it's roughly the same size. The net's the same height and all that stuff. So the skill set is completely different. Indoor is more of a specialization type of a thing. In the beach, you have to be, well, you have to have all the skills. You know, you have to grapple and strike and wrestle and all that kind of stuff. Whereas indoor, you know, my position when I played was called libero, which is just like a defensive player. Like I didn't even play in the front row.
So you were safe when they throw when the guy on the other side jumps and throw the pretty heavy one. Yeah. That's the one that you saved.
That's what I'm trying to save. Anyways, I don't know if I did it well, but that was sort of my function. Yeah, because believe it or not, I'm a short guy in men's compared to my teammates. Yeah,
that's crazy. Because in Ecuador there's a lot of like volleyball, but I grew up watching it. A lot of people just play for fun.
Yeah,
like when I was a little kid, my uncle used to play. In the corner of his house, there was this like, it was dirt, but it was like hard, like soil, like it was like brown,
like a clay kind of.
But it was like hard, and they would like go. I believe they used to do 3-on-3.
Yeah,
and they were like pretty much everybody would just drink, and play like little tournaments.
And that's a gambling thing too, right?
Yes, pretty heavily. Same like with the chicken fights. It was the same. Like my grandpa and my dad was more in the chicken fights, and my uncle would play like. And I remember, and he's little.
Yeah.
And I remember going to see them, and you know we don't have like Holland people.
Right.
Everybody's like 5'8", 5'6", 5'4", and they were like play pretty aggressive, and I was like, to me it was always interesting because you serve the ball. To me, the most visible thing was like the guy smashing it
Yeah.
to score.
Right.
But the most hard thing for me was like the guy in the other team saving it.
Right.
Because at that speed, it's almost like impossible to catch it.
True, especially in a 3-on-3 format because there's so little. Excuse me. In indoor volleyball you have 6 people, so at least there's 3 people up front trying to block it, trying to slow it down a little bit at least. But in that format, not so much. I have some friends that are professional beach volleyball players that during the off season a few times have been called, like that's a big thing in Mexico too, I believe. That 3-on-3 and some maybe questionable characters have teams that they like to bet on, so they kind of hire some ringers to come down and.
Oh, so like they bring like pros to play like for fun.
Yeah, guys I know that play on our professional beach tour, they'll bring them down and here's $5,000.
Win this match or you're dead.
yeah. Hopefully it's not like that. All my friends are still alive, so either they won or it's not that serious. But there apparently is some big money going around in some of those games.
Because that was literally like there was no sanction. It was just like a bunch of like people from the neighborhood just playing for fun, but there was some sort of money involved.
Right.
But now I'm guessing the way Mexico worked, it was probably like the cartel team was like, hey, let's bring some few Americans, world champions, and let's put them in this team.
Yeah. Well, I think both sides do it, so you get a pretty good match to bet on at least.
And in terms of like training, what type of training you guys do in order to prepare for a game? Like in terms of like lifting, running, like plyometrics, like what's your main stuff?
Yeah, it's interesting because. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'm interested in your viewpoint on this too, because the training that I did kind of throughout my career evolved so much and is totally different now, even than, I stopped playing in like 2013. So even in that kind of 10, 12-year period, it's advanced so much. I talked to our strength coach and he was like, man, I wish I knew then kind of some of the stuff I know now because we would have done things differently. We were lifting 3 times a week. We practice every day and all that stuff for a couple hours. And then we had 3 lifting sessions, and it was probably, 45 minutes of kind of warm up mobility type stuff. And then we were doing some relatively heavy lifting because you're kind of, like I was saying, if you're looking to peak for a world championships, you're sort of lifting through whatever tournaments you're playing up until that point, so that physically you're your strongest at a world championships or at the Olympic Games or whatever the peak is aiming towards, right? So we were doing fairly long workouts. The plyometric stuff was more like, do a heavy squat combined with a box jump, for example. So where you're doing some strength movement paired with an explosive movement to try and prime the muscles like that. And now, just to kind of look at the way it's changed, I think they're lifting every day for like 30 minutes. Because
so more volume but less time.
Yeah, more frequency. I don't know if it's more volume. It might be actually less volume, but it's more frequency. Just more, probably less overall time because we were probably in there for 2 hours 3 times a week, and now they're 30 minutes a day, 5 times a week.
So a little bit every day.
Yeah, because it was, volleyball is an interesting sport in that it's anaerobic, right? It's real fast and high intensity for very short periods of time. Guy bombs a serve, you try and receive it and kill it. That takes, let's say 2 seconds. If it's a successful, unless a rally goes on, and maybe then it's 4 or 5 seconds. But then play stops, the next guy goes back to serve. You know what I mean? You catch your breath in between. So a match will last, if it goes the distance, 2 hours and change.
Oh, wow.
But, you're playing 4 or 5 seconds at a time.
Right.
So
and it's like soccer that you have like 2 periods, or it's just one game?
No, it's a best of 5 sets. So each set goes to 25 points. If you win 3 sets in a row, it's over. But if you win the first one, I win the second one, you win the third one, I win the fourth one, we go to a fifth, and that's the distance that takes 2 hours, 2 hours, 15 minutes.
Damn, the thing it can get long.
It can get long. Beach is different. It's best 2 out of 3. So, you can only play 3 sets, and the maximum time on those is usually about 50 minutes to an hour if it goes the distance. But obviously, only 2 people are out there grinding.
Right.
So it's a lot more taxing, I would say, physically.
They gotta be moving more left and right, because if it's only 2, both play defense and both play offense.
Right. I mean, again, from my position, just in the back row, I mean, I'm moving around a lot, but it's kind of like this. Like, I'm just squaring up to that. I'm not like running side to side, and the ball comes to me or it doesn't. I'm going to move around a little bit here and there, but it's relatively confined. And again, it's a few seconds at a time.
And there's like you said, there's a specific time where the big tournaments are, and then through the year you guys compete on the small ones to kind of like stay warm in competition.
Well, yeah. So every summer they have what's called the Volley Nations League, which, again, to the point of the Olympics maybe not being the most difficult tournament from a strength of field standpoint, that's like all the top teams in the world ranking compete in this Volley Nations League. So, and it's like the biggest money tournament in indoor volleyball. The winner gets $1 million, which real quickly turns into $50,000 for the players, because we won it in 2008 before the Olympics, and I was like $1 million, and then it's like, okay, our governing body gets 30% of that right off the top
Before everything.
So now that's 700 real quick, and then and then you chop it up between your coaching staff and 12 other players, and all of a sudden $1 million looks a lot smaller, but whatever. It's still
$1 million.
It's still good.
In paper, looks good.
Yeah, holding up a check that's got 6-7 numbers on it looks nice. But yeah, so that's a very important tournament. But again, it happens every year. So teams are sort of training through that. For example, one of the luxuries that the United States has this year, both in both men's and women's, is that we're already the host of the next Olympics. So we're already qualified. So we don't have to worry about that. That's a big concern for every other team in the world. They've got to make sure they're looking at who's going to be on their team and getting younger guys some repetitions if they're going to be a part of the team and so forth, because come 2028 we're going to need these players, right? We need to qualify and so forth. But the USA has the luxury of kind of looking at some newer players. It's the first year right after the Olympics, so we need to kind of see if we got any young people in the pipeline, like one of a talented guy like you were talking about that you spar with. Are these players going to pan out? And there's less pressure on them, because if they have an off year this year, it doesn't matter so much. Like financially, it hurts.
They know they're in no matter what.
They're in no matter what, because we're the host country.
They can just put on reps on all the little tournaments.
Yeah.
That's a good thing about other sports, that they can kind of like practice competition through the year. They can go to smaller competitions, they can go to like nationals, and in a way they have a date for the big day.
Right.
We don't have that. The phone rings, hey, next week or in 2 months, sure.
Yeah.
So like even like for jiu-jitsu, like I got friends that they go to all the small opens and they prepare for Pan Ams and for Worlds.
Yeah.
And that's set through the year.
Right.
In MMA, it's just a phone call.
Well, so I'm curious, because I've only, before I played volleyball, I was a baseball guy as a kid, and so I've always been in team sports. So in individual sports, I mean, first of all, how do you sort of get into that and decide? It's nice in a way, I imagine, to have everything rely on you, but that's also kind of scary in a way, isn't it?
It's very scary. Like fighting is, to me, is the most scary thing I do.
Of course.
Like, yes, I have a team. I have my head coach that prepares me and gets my mind right and, trains me every day. We bring on training partners that push me and all that. But then the best thing about being solo is like on fight day, yes, I'm scared. But when my friend is fighting or someone that I really like is fighting, and it hurts me more watching them having a bad night. Like if I'm there, yes, I'm having a bad night. Yeah, punches hurt. I might get a little cut here and there. But I know I'm like, okay, I'm gonna leave. Like I feel like I'm in control of that.
Right.
So like emotionally, yeah, when someone that you love is fighting, it's way more fucked up when I'm in there. Even if I'm losing the fight, because I'm like, what's the worst gonna happen? Get a big cut, or the guy, if you get in a big armbar, you tap. If you get, I mean, I guess you can get pretty hurt, but not having a full team also brings all the pressure to you. Like if you win, you're the man that night. If things don't go well, nah, you're done. Fuck you. So it's like you either have a lot of love or a lot of hate. So that kind of like, for at least for me, pushes me to like take it very seriously.
Oh yeah.
Through every fight camp in the off season. Like for me, the off season is the time to like, go to my conditioning coach and ask him like, hey, let's try, I don't know, let's go to the deep pool and do all this crazy shit underwater, like running with a dumbbell, or like having the dumbbell in one arm and just swing with one arm. Like in the off season, I try all this hardcore training. I run long distance, run hills, go to crazy trails with ultra runners, friends of mine that they're like, they do 20 miles for fun. I'm doing 50 miles with them, and I'm like about to give up, but I do all this stuff to sort of like get on like crazy fitness and be like, okay, I'm super strong, I'm super high cardio. Then when they call me, then I transition to like, okay, let's get explosive, let's like cut the long distance, let's do a lot of sprints, start sparring more consistently. But when I see also team sports, like when I see friends of guys that I have become friends with the years that they play the national team in soccer, I'm like, that's way better. Like that you have like, you have 12 guys helping each other.
Right.
With me, it's like, fuck, this whole shit is on me.
Right.
Like someone miss a goal or someone get hurt, there's still 10 guys playing. So for me, it's like, I broke my rib. I'm not eating. No one in my team is eating. No one's getting paid. So it's just some sort of pressure is going like, fuck, I need to fight. I need to pay my people. I need to like keep on going. I want to advance. I want to get up in the rankings. But, in other sports, in a soccer or volley, one player get hurt, they just put the second one.
Right. Yeah.
With us, it's like, you're hurt, you're done.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's nice when everything goes well. It's nice because you get sort of all the focus and credit. But like you're saying, when stuff goes sideways a little bit, there's a tremendous amount of pressure there, it seems like.
It's because now last week I got cleared to start running. So I was like, okay, Sunday came on, and I normally do 30 miles on a Sunday. And the doctor was like, yeah, maybe do like 3 or 4 miles. And I was like, yeah, sure, hold my beer. And like right now, like my legs are destroyed because what I realized is like, even if I'm not drinking, going out, 3 weeks of just dropping kids in the school, walking around, your body forgets about everything.
Yeah.
And after the run on Sunday, I was like, holy shit, my body feels like shit. And I was just in the best shape of my life, like when this thing got broken. So I'm like, now I'm like, that made me think, I'm like, okay, if 3 weeks of just rest with no drinking, no partying, no late nights, make me go this backwards, I'm like, okay, next Sunday I'm going to do 14. I'm going to add a mile.
Okay.
And then after this week, I'm going to start lifting, start like hitting without like, turning too much just in case. But like the body goes backwards so quick. It's so hard to stay like hard and in shape. But like 2-3 weeks pass by and you're like, fuck, I feel like a normal human again. I can feel like a normal human. I need to be like solid like a rock, because my timeline, I'm like, okay, by September I should be like fully healed. And my plan is to fight November.
Okay.
So I got like plenty of time to heal, and I have plenty of time to get ready again. But in the meantime, I also want to evolve. I want to get sharper. I want to, get better in the ground, get better everywhere. So like as soon as this is like just attached together.
Do you feel like it'll bounce back quickly as well? I mean, I know it feels as though it goes away in that 2-3 weeks, like you said, do you feel like it'll come back quickly as well?
It does come back really quick. Like, for example, I like to lift really heavy.
Okay.
Like, my first day back, I'm going to, of course, go light, just break the tissue in my legs and just, do like a lot of reps with less weight. But then in 3 weeks, I'm already lifting like the same amount that I was lifting at my peak.
Yeah.
But it's just like, you have to do it.
Right.
You have to like get back right away and start right away, because if you take too long, and I see other fighters like, oh, I'm hurt, let's just fucking drink, smoke, go out. And I'm like, dude, it's going to be double the time to get where you were.
Yeah.
And you never know. I can be feeling good in September and they ask me, you want to fight in October? There's a chance they do that.
Oh, really?
Because it's just, they don't give you a plan like, hey, you might be fighting this time. They just call you. And you say yes, you sign the contract. You say no, they call some other dude that most likely saying yes.
Yeah.
So that's the thing with fighting. Like, my biggest fights and my biggest opportunities came because someone else didn't took it.
Really?
Like, hey, this guy, it's her, or is bitching out that too much taxes on this estate. You want to take the fight? And I go, holy shit, this is a former champion. I'm like, I'm in.
So along those lines, I was curious, as you were kind of describing your program, how do you determine what's the off season? You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
If you always have to sort of be ready for that phone call to come in, you can't, like, volleyball's weird because the guys have to make a living by going to Europe. So the competition season for like the country, the national teams, is during the summer. But then, like, as soon as that finishes, you go to Europe and, Italy and Russia and Turkey and all these leagues over there and play professionally. So there's not much of an off season. But, like a normal, our sports here, NBA finals is starting Thursday, and then the guys will have like a couple months off. But you don't really have that luxury, right?
We don't. And we don't even have like a timeline. Even when you get to the top, let's say I'm the number 1 rank guy.
Okay.
Like, I'm next for the bell. You don't know exactly when you're fighting. You know you're fighting for the title. But they go, hey, we want you to challenge the champion in July, in International Fight Week. And it could be like 2 months ago. And the guy's like, fuck yeah, I want to be a world champion. They take it. But the way I determine is like, okay, if I run too much, yes, I'm gonna be like heavy cardio. I'm gonna be like loose, because I also do a lot of stretching, or I try to do my best with that, because that's probably my weakness. But like the way I have my little formula, like when I don't have a fight, I lift extremely heavy, but I also really long. So I know that I'm gonna be strong. I'm gonna be able to, if I hit you, you're gonna go out, but also I'm gonna be able to grind for 3 or 5 rounds.
Okay.
But the part that is missing is like, once they call me for a fight, I switch to, I'm only doing a sprint. I'm doing more like lightweight. Everything is jumpy. Everything is plyometrics. Everything is like elasticity. But like, I only transition when they call me.
Okay. And another thing that's kind of wild about your sport to me is that, correct me if I'm wrong, if you're not fighting for a title, it's just 3 rounds.
It's just 3 rounds.
So how does the training differ? I mean, because that's like a full, what is that? That's a 67% more
Unless
of
it's
a
a
fight.
main event.
Unless it's a main event.
Okay.
So main event is 5 rounds. For the title is 5 rounds. Rest of the fights are 3 rounds.
3 rounds.
So the best way to practice that is like, in the off season, we go 3 3-minute rounds, as hard as we can.
Okay.
3 minutes to build up like everything, because those extra 2 minutes, like, because I always have good cardio. I've never been for me an issue like I'm the guy that, oh, this guy's getting tired so when I get his ass kicked. You can put me 10 rounds and I might fight till someone just fell off, because I have the ability, because I run a lot. So the way, my coach does it is like, okay, you just fought, let's get back to sparring. We do 3-minute rounds. We go 3 threes, and we do that twice a week for a few weeks. Then you feel when they're about to call you, you start feeling like, okay, I'm ready to get back in. Then we move to 5 minutes, and that goes for mids and sparring, and then we go 3 fives. But like I've been in other gyms that they do 10 rounds, and yeah, you become tough, you everything, but now you're saving energy in every round because you know you're gonna do 10. So like that, you're never getting to fight right away.
Right.
And then that's why I have one of my biggest problem was like, oh, I'm a slow starter. It's because probably in the past I did too many rounds for too long. So I was,
kind of biding your time.
Biding my time, kicking your ass for 2 minutes and taking a break. But the way that my coach does it now, he's like, okay, you're going to spar 3 rounds. And I have a few of my friends in there, and they're like, dude, you lost the first round. We need to win the first round. So we implement a lot, putting pressure on me, like, hey, warm up better. There's things that you have to do on your own.
Right.
And then for this fight, I was like, fuck, I finally fixed that. That's what I was excited about coming back, because I was feeling that I was coming off the gate in the first round. Not just coming wild, but like right away putting numbers. So I was like very like, okay, in this fight, I'm going to show a lot of improvement, because for the last 10 fights, always slow starter, and I knock someone out at the end. But then you can do that every single fight. So that's what evolution hits, and I'm like, okay, I need to get better at this, start a little quicker, and win rounds. And if the finish come, great, but don't just rely on like, I'm going to punch your head off.
Yeah.
So like, that was, in my opinion, fixed. And then when it's 5 rounds, going back to rounds, we only spar hard the amount of rounds that I'm actually fighting, to get used to that time.
Right.
Like some other gyms, we have a minute break in between rounds. Some people do 30 seconds to like build your cardio better or make you tougher. In the real fight, you're not getting 30 seconds, you're getting a minute. So you want your brain, your body, your breath to know how to recover in a minute. Because if you get good at recovering in 30 seconds, it's not realistic. Even if it's like harder, makes no sense. Because you're not recovering for 30 seconds. You have a minute. So in 30 seconds, you can only get some advice. But in a minute, you can, drink water, it's okay, breathe. And then 20 seconds left, hey, this is good, this is not so good, I want more of this. So like, we try to train the most realistic we can.
Yeah.
And the best way to find out, even if people say like, oh, sparring is overrated, too much sparring is dangerous, you can mimic fighting. Like going back to like, I've been in other gyms, like, the fight's getting close, so they do like 1 minute in the pad, 1 minute in the ground, 1 minute in the clinch. Yes, you get tired, but it's fake, because that's not a fight. If you want to get tired, sprint.
Yeah.
Go all out, and I guarantee you're gonna be tired.
Right.
And if you don't get tired in a sprint, it's because you're not really exploring the whole time. So it's like, the most realistically and simple you keep it, in my opinion, is the best for fighting. And I'm sure it's probably the same for volleyball. There's no mimicking on crazy jumps. You gotta either do it or don't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was thinking that as you were kind of saying that, you're very, very specific with the way you train and making sure that it reflects what your fight is going to look like, right? So it sounds like there's debate in the MMA community the best way to do it, whether it's the 1 minute on the pads, 1 minute on the ground, because there is that similar debate in volleyball. Some people like certain types of drills, and other people will say that those don't transfer to an actual volleyball game, because you have to sort of acquire skills, right? And so there's some controlled drills that, like you're saying, someone's not smashing the ball as hard as they can at you, but then does that prepare you for when you're playing a match and somebody's smashing the ball as hard as they can at you? Probably not, right? So I'm a fan, and I've played for coaches that mostly try and train very sport specific as well, like you're saying. So I think that there's a lot of value to that, of course. I had another question for you, if it's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
When you're talking about like your talented kid that you spar with, for example, what is sort of the path to the UFC? You know, I mean, you can tell me what yours was or what in general, like if I were to start fighting today, what's sort of the road I take, because I've got to get noticed by them and eventually get to the point where I'm good enough to get a contract. But how do I go about doing that?
For example, if I go back on my days, 2011, 2012, I started 2011 training. And back then, in Ecuador, jiu-jitsu was big.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was no really... I mean, if you go to the federation, yes, wrestling individually, they're good. Olympic champion, no, but I guarantee you there's some Cuban coaches that wrestling was good, boxing was good, but jiu-jitsu was the one making the real noises, winning in like, you know, a few Ecuadorians winning in the US, winning in Abu Dhabi, because this Brazilian dude, which was my first coach, came to Ecuador, fell in love with Ecuador, and he stayed. And he, at the time, he was coming out of the best school of the world. Like, Alliance was dominating for many, many years. So this extremely high-level guy came for a week and decided to stay. Like, if that guy wouldn't came to Ecuador, we wouldn't be sitting here. I would probably be working with my dad in the farm, which I also love that, but because of that guy coming and teaching jiu-jitsu and going to do Roy Gracie style, he would like travel to Peru by himself and fight to prove jiu-jitsu, go to Mexico and fight. And he won a lot. He also got his ass kicked a few times because he was just a jiu-jitsu guy. So the few times that he fought like actually some sort of high level guys, he got beat up pretty good. But at least he kind of like show a lot of balls. He have good work ethic, and he teach really good, because there was one point that Ecuador was right after Brazil in jiu-jitsu.
Oh, really?
And this guy came to Ecuador. At the time, when he came to Ecuador, I wasn't training. I started training probably like 8 years later. And I know of these jiu-jitsu guys. I was like, okay, don't fuck with those guys. But I was a typical kid that was fighting in the street all the time.
Oh, just street fights?
Just street fights for fun. And my neighbor brought me to this jiu-jitsu gym. Luckily, because there was few jiu-jitsu gyms, and they were not very good. Like, if I were to go to any other school, I probably wouldn't be here. And my neighbor, which is still my friend today, is like, yo, come with me to the jiu-jitsu. I was like, nah, bro, I'm good. It's like, dude, you're gonna get killed one of these days. You're fucking playing too much fighting. I know you're trying to be the cool kid and all your friends, and he was a little older.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool, let's go. He took me to the academy, and, you know, most people do like a try class and stuff like that, and then they come once a week. I came with a $60 check, pay for the month, and never stopped training. And I remember the very first day I told the coach, Soluso, I'm like, hey, man, I'm here because I want to fight for the UFC. And the guy literally spit his water and was like, okay, buddy, no one that speaks Spanish is in the UFC.
Oh, really?
Like, back then was like US, some Europeans, some Brazilians, and the US. That's it. And then, for me back then was like, you really need to become someone known. So, fast forward, I fought like few fights in Ecuador. I was like 3-0, and then, thank God I had common sense. I didn't just stay on my comfort zone and fighting a lot of fights in Ecuador. What I did was like, I was like going on Facebook and sending DMs to every promotion: Peru, Panama, Mexico, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Chile, like all these countries that have like promotions. I was like, hey, I would like to fight. I'm a 145er. I will fight for free. Just give me like a fight, like a poster, so I can go to all these little like, you know, like food places or friends and just ask for the sponsors to cover my stuff.
Oh.
So I realized that you have to be like known in your region to somehow get the UFC to know you.
Okay.
But back then, it was literally impossible to make it. Like everybody told me like, dude, I know you love this shit, but they're not gonna notice you.
There was just no path.
There was no path back then. Like literally, there was no one guy that was like. There was one guy from Peru that was in the UFC, Tony De Souza, and he was like a guy that migrated from Peru to the US, went to like high school or college, whatever. He became a really high level wrestler, and he ended somehow with like BJ Penn, Chuck Liddell, with all those guys back in the day. Like there's a photo of him with like 8 UFC champions that become later UFC champions. So at least he landed in the right place at the right time. He did some crazy fights in Brazil, and then he made it early in the UFC, and I think he won a few, and then he lost a few, and then he got released. He was like the first like a Spanish guy that made it. So back then for me was no path. It was not like, okay, this guy did this and that. I was just like hoping one day someone noticed me. So I started fighting. I fought in Panama, then I fought in Mexico, then I fought in Peru like 4 or 5 times. And then I got an email to go to the Ultimate Fighter because they were trying to do the first season for South America against Mexico. Because the first UFC in Mexico was coming up. So they put like the main guys from Mexico against the main guys from South America. But we weren't supposed to win. They brought like the guys to fill in, to get their ass kicked by these guys, and then the first UFC in Mexico will be like, oh, Mexicans winning.
Okay.
So it was.
So you guys screwed that up for them.
I mean, when we start, we lost like the first 4 fights in the Ultimate Fighter.
Okay.
In the show, and then I was like the 5th fight, and I was the first guy to win in my season for my team. And then some other guy won too after me. A guy he was from El Salvador, I believe.
Okay.
But it was made for the Mexicans. Like those guys were actually good. We were fighters, but we weren't really that good. They were like already training in San Diego and Tijuana. They were like going back and forth.
Okay.
Some other guys were in the US for longer time, so we were like pretty good. I didn't have any amateur career, which that really hurt me in my first 10 UFC fights. Because I made it with 6-1, so I didn't have like a lot of experience. I just like figured a way to don't lose back to back enough time to get caught. I will win 1, lose 1, win 2, lose 1. So like I just stayed by a little grip until I moved to Cali, and then now I finally became good at it, and then I find the right coaches, the right people around me, and now I'm here. But like back then there was no road to go. Now it's like you do four fights in the regional show, you're kicking ass, you're in the Contender Series. Now the sport is so big that now there's not like just one path to go. You can have like your first 6 fights can be against okay guys, get experience, kick some ass. Then the UFC put you in Contender Series, which is like Dana's show to like, that show is made for like, you fight there, you have to literally kill your opponent. If you do something impressive, you get a UFC contract.
Okay.
If not, they give you another chance there to see what you got. There's guys that have fought like 3-4 times in that show before they made it to the UFC. But now there's like many ways to get in. When I started, it was like, Anderson was champion, GSP was champion, so like, and Demetrius Johnson were champion. Like back then, these guys hold like 8 to 10 times the title. Now it becomes so competitive that sometimes it's like every other fight the title is changing.
Right.
Because there's so much talent. There's like guys from Russia, guys from everywhere now. So now there's like 2 more Ecuadorians in the UFC now. There's like a lot of Mexicans in the UFC. There's guys from Argentina, guys from like, now it's like the sport is massive. So now there's like so many routes to make. Like now there's social media. You can become like a TikToker and you have a big name. You win 4 or 5 fights and you are in the UFC.
And your background was, it started off with just jiu-jitsu?
Just jiu-jitsu.
And then when do you start adding different disciplines?
So in this place where I was, my jiu-jitsu coach, he had like a class at noon for like the pros. And it was like him, 2 more black belts, and they have like a kickboxing coach that was my coach for a while, but then didn't end well. And it was like, they had like a pro class, so they would do like some striking with takedowns, but everything was like very like, let's try to figure this MMA thing out. But at the end, we do jiu-jitsu every day. If I go to the ground, we should be able to win type of thing. So that's why I was able to survive a lot at the beginning, because I would fight like wrestlers or guys that have more knowledge, and they will when you're fighting like a really ballsy guy, because I would like come and fight hard, but I didn't have much technique. They would just take me down, and most likely, a guy at my level with no jiu-jitsu would have just like don't know what to do, get this guard pass, get choked out or whatever, or TKO. My fundamental jiu-jitsu that I got from this guy from so many years, I was able to like survive in the ground. They would get tired to try, and then I would like land something on the stand that would catch him on a submission. But like the grappling like kind of like saved my life for a while. But now in my last 10 fights, I haven't even attempted to go to the ground because my striking got good. Like my main coach was like a pro boxer. Like now I can like really see the punches well. I can like more like I would like block and then use the cardio to attack. But back then there was like I was just like kicking and running and trying just to survive. Like now I understand how to like fight and what I can do.
So if you were to rank the skills, for example, in order of, I don't want to say importance, but maybe devastation, if it's striking, if it's grappling, if it's jiu-jitsu, if it's submission, if it's wrestling, like what do you think would be the most important, or does it matter who you're fighting maybe?
No, like I feel like wrestling is probably the most important thing. Based on history, based on today, like good wrestling, like being able to take anyone down or defend takedowns.
Does that go hand in hand with jiu-jitsu kind of, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the Russians, because they do sambo, they do like wrestling, mix it up with jiu-jitsu, but heavy wrestling.
Okay.
So those guys, like, if you go against a pure wrestling guy, yes, in the ground, they're easy to choke or tap out. But these guys, since very little, they're wrestling and grappling at the same time. So it's like they take you down, they hold you down, they mold you, pass your guard, and then they tap you out. So for me, if I have to rank what's most important, it's like I would say wrestling. It's very important. Good base of like boxing, because most kickboxers, it's all slaps. Yes, they have great kicks, but you get taken down if you kick. So like I would say like a solid base of boxing with good wrestling is probably the main things. And then of course things evolve, right? You gotta mix it up with your kicks. You have to learn jiu-jitsu and all that. And I start with jiu-jitsu, but based on history and who's been the most dominant champions, a solid base of punching with grappling is what will make you last longer in the game.
Okay. Yeah, I mean it's so wild. One of the things is just like a fan that just watches is, I don't even understand how you can stand there and have somebody kick your leg.
That hurts.
Yeah, and just, I mean, you guys do an unbelievable job of pretending that that's doing nothing to you.
I mean, adrenaline helps a little bit.
Yeah,
like sometimes
true.
you get kicked and you go like, "Fuck, that shit hurt." Yeah. But then it's like kind of like goes away. But if you let your opponent hit the same spot a few times, even if adrenaline is kicking, them that part is dead.
Yeah.
Like some guys, like you kick them once and they're like kind of like whatever. You need to be smart in there, because you're like, okay, you kick me once, I gotta do something to avoid it, or I gotta start doing something to hurt you and earn respect in the moment. Because most guys are like, I've been in fights that I kick them once and they're like, that's nothing. I kick them another time and I'm like, you just taking these things? But by the time I do it for the 5th or 6th time, that leg is done. Like, can put weight on it, can punch because it hurt, and it's like, you need to have the awareness of like, the less you get hit, the better. Either you have great reflex or get out of there.
Right.
Because some people is just like they're taking it. It's like, I mean, if you guys are playing a game and you guys are using the same strategy and putting the ball in the same place, and the guys are kind of like just waiting for their time. By the time they realize, they already lost the first half.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's almost like you have to be all me, zero you, in a way.
Right.
You're gonna get hit at some point, but you have to be really aware to don't let that person hit you too many times with the same pattern, because sometimes you're like, okay, that doesn't really hurt, but it's gonna hurt you in the long run. So
Right.
might as well just be like, I'm not giving. The less you give them, the better.
And so I imagine that's where, your coach and everybody in your corner comes in a fight, kind of helping you identify that, right? Because, sort of one of the concepts I would talk about with my players when I was coaching beach volleyball, for example, is we go into a match with a game plan of how we're trying to attack our opponent. That works or it doesn't, right? If it works, great, we stay with it. But if it doesn't, you have to be able to adjust and adjust quickly in the moment, right? In real time. Otherwise, you get too far behind and then it doesn't matter, right? And so you guys are obviously playing a very high stakes version of that with your bodies and your faces and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so how much of that is going on with, like, do you go into a fight with like a plan A, plan B, plan C, or do you kind of have some places you adjust in the moment with your staff and so forth?
There's a lot that happens in the moment, because there's a lot of things that I see in there, and that's one of the best things of my coach, of Parilli, because he's like, I can tell you all these things, but only the person that is inside, because he can be like throw the jab, follow with a kick, and end with a flying knee. And sounds beautiful,
right?
But then when you're in front of another energy that is fucking hard, you're like, so he said jab, kick, and then flying knee, and then that's the things that I really like about my coach. It's like, look, dude, I can tell you a lot of things, but you know exactly when to go. That's why he says, like, I will never be like, come on, go, because then you're like, oh, I can't right now, I don't want right now. So he's like, even the way he speaks in the corner, he's very soft speaking. Even on times that I've been like flat or like kind of like, fuck, I'm not feeling it today, he don't start screaming crazy. He's like, come on, I know, I know you're feeling. I have experience with guys that had a bad day, but just try hard, or just come on, like, you can do it, or let's figure it out. Maybe go for a takedown or clinch more or whatever you feel. But he softly tell you how to push the engine, and yes, in the time we do make like a game plan, and like, okay, this guy is gonna come heavy with the wrestling, so let's not punch too wide, because then he can just jump in. Maybe like, let's be very tight, pick him up with an uppercut, or let's go a little lower so he knows, or change levels with your opponent.
Yeah.
If he's a really good striker, he's like, well, with this guy, just fight, just meet him in the center, and just let it go. Like, but like specifically, like back in the day, I had coaches that would tell me, I need you to start with the jab, take a step to the left, throw a kick, and that just doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
It's like when you're in front of another energy that is just like, scared, and is just like willing to do anything to beat you, you almost have to like let the fight start, and in the go, you can see patterns like, okay, this guy, when he's throwing the right hand, dips the head, maybe pick him up, or every time he kick, put the hands down. Like, there's some patterns that you can pick it up, but most likely it's like in the moment you gotta feel it.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I like what you said about your coach too, because I'm a big fan of like that approach, where it's sort of calm, a little more calm, and quiet tones, because sometimes I feel like coaches get a little too overly involved, and it almost becomes
against
about
you.
them. Well, against you for sure, because obviously when you're fighting, you don't need someone also screaming at you, I imagine.
Exactly.
But it's more like you see this in my sport as well, like coaches reacting if, their team loses a point or whatever. Because in beach volleyball, the coach is not allowed to speak during the match.
Oh,
like
wow.
I'm sitting in the stands just watching. And so it's kind of this, it's like tennis, right? It's unique in that sense. But you see a lot of coaches like, doing all this demonstrative stuff to show that they knew that that's not what should have happened. And there's
Right.
sort of a lot of focus on themselves, right? And showing that they know all the answers and my team's not doing what I told them. And
Yeah, that's the thing that I just realized. Tennis doesn't have a coach in the actual game.
yeah, you can't communicate. Like with beach volleyball, they're trying to explore changing that. Indoor volleyball, the coach is, walking on the sideline the whole time. It
Like
is more-
soccer
Yeah.
or basketball.
Exactly. Yeah,
That's a
it's,
good thing. I wonder how would it feel to like go to a fight and both guys just walk by themselves.
it would be very different, right? But I mean, to your
Because-
point, you have to go in there and kind of, it's mano a mano, and you got to
Yeah.
figure it out, right?
Because sometimes like I'm so calm in there that I hear word for word the other corner also.
Huh.
Like every single word. Sometimes they go, "Come on, kick the leg," and I go like, "Oh," and I chop the leg pretty hard, and I was like, "That wasn't in my corner." And then my corner, and then my coach was like, "There you go, nice kick, okay, pop the jab a little bit," and then I'm like, "Okay, pop the jab." But like sometimes when I hear the other corner, if they're winning, I hear their excitement, and that kind of like gets me mad and want to kick their ass. But then when they're like on trouble and they're like, run away or come on, defend yourself, it fires me up like, oh, I'm gonna kill you now.
Yeah, yeah.
But like, it's myself personally, I'm like so calm in there. That also that sometimes make me start slow because I'm just like block. Okay, it's okay. Okay. I know I'm a slow starter, but I'm also being smart.
yeah.
But you hear everything, and I wonder like how would it be just a crowd going crazy, but no coaching.
Huh.
That
Do
could
you think you would like it more, or it's hard to say because you only know it one way, right?
exactly. I only know one way. Like for you, how was it transition from pro to start coaching?
Yeah, it was. I felt very fortunate in a way because I played indoor volleyball, but I immediately started coaching beach. And like I was saying, they're two sort of different disciplines. Like a lot of the skills are similar and transferable, but the games themselves, like, so I would say it like this: like the concept of both games is the same in that you're trying to make your opponent uncomfortable, right? Their perfect world is like perfect reception, perfect set, perfect smash. You're trying to get them out of that rhythm, and they're trying to stay in that rhythm, right? And then when it's their serve, it's vice versa. The difference between beach and indoor is just that how you accomplish getting your opponent uncomfortable is a little bit different. You only have two people, so there's kind of more angles you can attack. There's more open space on the court to try and work with. Defensively, you have to be a little more deceptive, and the timing is a little bit different because, if I show you I'm right here, it's easy for you to just kind of chip the ball around me. Whereas on the beach, I should say, indoor, the idea is just to be up as big as you can, as early as you can, and take away this space because you have 5 other people
Right.
backing you up, right? So the reason I felt fortunate to sort of make that transition to coaching in a different discipline is precisely kind of what we were talking about I felt like there was no ego from my side as a coach because technically my expertise was in a different discipline.
Right.
And what happens, I think, sometimes with coaches is, especially if they played at a decent level or, fought at a decent level or whatever it is they go, you get into this revisionist history, right? Where I never made any mistakes as a player. Everything I did was the smart move and whatever. And I sort of judge you accordingly. I go, dude, in that situation, you got to do X, Y, and Z. I would have done it this way. And there's this ego involved, right? but I never played beach volleyball. I played it a lot for fun in the summer to kind of stay in shape, but I never played at the professional level. So I was learning a lot of what makes teams successful at the professional level, while also like sort of learning to coach. And there was none of this like, hey, when I did it this way, because I never did it.
Right.
Right. And so I felt very fortunate to not be that coach who was trying to get any attention on himself or trying to get any credit. Or
the learning experience of trying to figure it out how to coach the same sport in a different field make you almost like, again, a student, so you can impact to your guys.
100%. And again, I was very fortunate because I was working with a couple of good friends of mine, both the coach I was working with and the two players that he was coaching. And he, for my money, is like the best volleyball mind in the United States. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. So it was very enjoyable for me to try and sort of study with him. You know, it's a fun environment. You're at the beach, the sun's shining, you know.
Right.
It's a lot of fun in a lot of ways, but it was also very educational for me and enjoyable to sort of be a student again.
And in volleyball, it's like he was kind of like, you and him were like coaching the same, or you guys will have like different jobs in a way?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was basically just his assistant. He actually coached a men's pair and a women's pair simultaneously. So I was just helping him with both teams, and then we would travel to these tournaments, and, you know, we're helping do game plans. He's doing all the stuff. Because realistically, I knew very little. You know, I know, you know, I think I have a pretty good grasp of some technical stuff as it pertains to volleyball. You know, like receiving serve and setting, like, you know, the skills are pretty similar between the disciplines. But the execution of game plans and what the game plans entail is vastly different. And so I wasn't like offering anything. Basically, I was just learning from him and trying to study and, you know, be of value to the group, but probably doing very little.
But with your experience professionally in indoor and playing at a high level, you can bring that to the table. The experience, like the confidence, like even like just how to talk to them into like believe in yourself. Like, you guys been training really hard for this. You know, you will add all that just because of the experience that you have. Because even like when I see like a fighter beginning or something like that, I hate coaching. I'm never like telling my teammates like, hey, do this, do that, or I do that, because I really hate coaching. If someone asks me like how you do that, I'm like, go talk to coach. I don't know how to explain it. I don't want to act like I know how to explain it, so just go to him. But I can see things like, or the way I can talk to them into like, hey, dude, that was good. Like, just keep it up. Like, you know, quit fucking around. Forget about all the fun life. Just focus on training. Like, I feel like things like that add a lot of value when you talk to someone that is, you know, beginning or getting to a high level, because not too many people talk to them in a way like, because most people when they're doing well, no one tell them like, hey, don't go to that party or don't drink or. But if you're like, just give the small examples that for me have helping, like not having a nightlife, not having like too many distractions, that really helps into your professional career.
Well, I would say just along those lines, like one of the things that maybe I did add to that group initially is there's a little bit of credibility. You know, like if you tell a young fighter, listen, don't party, don't stay out late because here's the potential pitfalls, and, you know, like in my career, it's benefited me to not do that kind of stuff. That means a lot. Whereas if I'm just some random jiu-jitsu coach or whatever, and I go, dude, you can't be going out, they're going to not listen to me at all or care, right? So it carries a lot of weight because you are who you are and you've done what you've done. And so I'm more inclined as a younger fighter to listen to you, right?
Right.
And so that's one thing I had. I mean, I was lucky to be kind of friends with these guys already, so we had sort of a mutual respect. But, you know, I was in a couple Olympic games and so forth, and so I can say some things and go, listen, here's my experience, and that experience led to some successes.
Right.
So I believe that if you do these things, that can lead to some success for you as well, right? And there's a little bit of credibility there, which is weird, because credibility is an odd one to me. I think it's important, but it's also strange at the same time, in the sense that if I say something in volleyball, people view it a certain way based on whatever your resume looks like. And if another person says exactly the same thing word for word, they might ignore it and think it's bullshit.
That's exactly true. I have been in places that someone that trains for fun says something really valuable.
Yeah.
Like a younger fighter or someone that it's like at my level, whatever, will be like, fuck off. And then the same exact thing is coming from coach or from my main training partner or from someone that has been way more successful than I have been. You go like, oh my God, that's actually true. But that's what like the credibility comes in. Like, okay, like, you know what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's what I like to bring in, like guys like a jiu-jitsu world champion that I know I have to born again to get to that level. I bring the guy to the practice, and I'm like, okay, let's wrestle and grapple, and he's like, I know I'm gonna lose 99% of the match. I'm probably gonna only win if I put him against the cage, because they don't wrestle against the cage. But the moment I take them down, they're gonna just like go whoop, and submit me. But like feeling that, and then working my way into like at least don't get submitted more than let's say the first time this guy submit me 8 times. Let's work it down to 6, and then let's work it down to 4, and then just play very defensive and get really ballsy attacking, because in practice it doesn't matter how many times I get tapped. And then be like, okay, how you did that? What happened here? What would you do there? And that kind of like set my mind to like a higher standard. Like I'm like, when I see other fighters, they just avoid that. They're like, no, I'm too cool to get beat up by you. But it's like, I'm telling, before I got hurt, I talked to this like really high level Olympic wrestler, and he came to help me. And the day that he landed, that was the morning that I got hurt. And I was like, fuck, I would have loved to see what feels to wrestle with this guy, because I knew that I wasn't even able to like touch his legs. And he's gonna just like applause and hit a double leg and just send me through the roof. And I was like, fuck, I really wanted to see how bad he would beat me, to see what type of advice he would tell me. But like, it's always good, like going back to the credibility, I always want to train with the guy that has accolades and is still active winning, just to like have, because they mentally they're on another level. Like they have been through the whole ringer, they got further than most wrestlers in the world. So I'm like, or grapplers, I'm like, I just want to feel what this guy can do to me, to understand how much better I can get.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I think, no matter what, whether we're talking about the fight game or volleyball or whatever, there's some kind of through lines from a mentality standpoint, right? Like high level people at anything, I think, have similar mentality in their approach, like what you're talking about, like seeking out people that are better than you at certain skills so that you can improve. You hear business people talk about that a lot. Like if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to be in a different room.
You're in the wrong room.
Yeah, you're in the wrong room.
It's true.
Yeah.
Even just with like normal people, I want my friends to like, at least in my close circle, like I want like people that is like trying to do better for themselves. Like they're like hungry, like, if you hang out with a guy that is always like kicking rock and it's like, fuck, I hate life, and fuck this, fuck that, everybody's shit, I'm like, bye. I don't care how much I love you. I'm like, I want positive people around me, because that's not even in my professional career. That's just in general is gonna like uplift the whole circle up.
Yeah.
You don't want to be with negative fucking people. That's just poison in your life.
I would agree with that for sure. Maybe the only sort of asterisk where you want to be the best person in any room is like in the handsome category, right? It's not bad to be the most handsome guy in the room.
It's not bad. I've
We'll
been lucky with
we'll
that.
have to ask Luke how that is. Fucking guy.
You have never have a problem with that.
Right. Guy looked like a runway model at the golf course that
Shit.
day.
Like, every day. You see my waking up to that shit every day.
I think he had Tom Ford sunglasses on at the golf course.
I bet, yeah. If they were in Jackson Mariella.
Oh yeah, that's his line now, right? Yeah. Well, yeah. My last random question I have for you. Is it offensive to you to watch movie fights where people bare knuckle just hit each other in the face 20 times and keep fighting?
I hate anything that says MMA fighter kind of movie because they're pretty shitty. But like The Punisher or like Jack Ryan or like Mobland or all these gangster movies, I love that shit. Them, I don't care if they're getting a crazy fist fight, 3 knives in the stomach and 2 bullets in his shoulder, and they keep fighting.
Yeah.
I love that type of movies. But like fighting movies, they're disgusting.
Yeah.
I hate them.
I just started watching Mobland, by the way. How good is that show?
I watch, like, when I saw the first episode and I realized it was 1 episode each Sunday,
Yeah.
I wait 7 weeks. And then in 1 Saturday, I went through them. And I'm waiting for either next season or next episode, but that show is fucking fire.
It's depressing when you finish the first season and now you have to wait for the second one.
I hate that shit. And now I just went to rewatch The Punisher. I watched the whole thing. And then I'm just back in Jack Ryan. I'm on season 2.
Okay.
I just love fucking battle shit movies.
Yeah. Yeah. No homo, but I think I might be in love with Tom Hardy, dude. He's such a badass in that Mobland show.
He's the sickest there. He's like, when he goes and asks something, he's like, I want to do it right now.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't want to get in trouble. Trust me. And then he just shoot the shit out of those guys. When he went to the bar to get the tapes.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I mean, just how calm he is at telling people that, yeah, you don't want trouble. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
It almost make me want to get that Audi, the R,
the GTR or whatever it is. Yeah.
Is this RS6?
6?
The wagon. That car is so sick.
Yeah, they love the wagons over in Europe.
They have the M3 wagon.
Yeah.
They have the Audi wagon. And I'm like, fuck, should I get a wagon now? That wagon is fucking sick. Well, thank you, brother. Appreciate you doing this. I learned some volleyball today.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. I've always been fascinated by your sport as well. So it's amazing to get to talk to someone at your level.
Now we'll get to play some golf at some time.
I hope so.
Well, I don't think I can rotate now.
Yeah, now's not a good time. We'll get you after your next fight.
Let's do it. Thank you, brother.
All right, man.